People, Deluded, I'm back again. Now, people, I don't know why I'm making this vid. I couldn't go to work today. I'm actually under the weather. Been sick multiple times. Got my Costco's water. Got my green tea with honey. Admittedly, people, haven't had much of a diet. So, to try and get away from my illness and my sickness, I'm making videos. Now, obviously today, Arsenal will be playing Saint Etienne, Standard Liège. We're travelling to Belgium for our last game in the Europa League. We need to be professional, get the job done, and obviously complete it, people, of course. But we can only play what's in front of us. We need to do a professional job. Standard Liège, I do believe they're out of it now. Mathematically, it might still be possible. In fact, not to do you a lot of disservice, let me actually look at the Europa League group stages, because I'm sure Frankfurt are second. Europa League group stage, and Standard Liège can't qualify, I'm pretty sure, people, but let's see. Yeah, they're third. Well, no, they still, well, technically they can. They're sick. They got 6 points. Well, technically, well, I don't know for goal difference and stuff, but Victoria is still open. People could sneak a place, people. You never know. Like, all three teams, depending on, well, Victoria would need Arsenal to beat Standard Liège, and they'd have to beat Frankfurt, but they could do a job. If Frankfurt and Victoria, depending on what happens in that game, slightly, like very slightly, if it's a draw, for example, people, my maths is poor, but Liège could go through, so there's still stuff to play for. Standard Liège, I believe, are playing in a big game on the weekend against Anderlecht, so how serious they're going to take the game, I don't know, people, but we've got to do our job. For the young players, obviously, we're more or less through. We need to be professional and just end on a winning note. Ljungberg spoke, obviously, more so to do with the league, but they need to, pardon me, release the mental handbrake and get back to basics and really just enjoy football, because for all the poor form and all the tactical problems that have been Arsenal, a lot of the issues are mental. And if you're not playing with clarity of the mind, you're not going to ever be able to turn around your season. So I do think a lot of our players, especially the young players, could adopt that approach, because again, listen, it's a game of football. You want to win it. We want to qualify. I'm not going to say it's a meaningless game, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not really the most meaningful of games this season for Arsenal. So I want to see the young and fringe players obviously win, obviously play with commitment and consistency, but above all, enjoy themselves. Now, before I get on to the reason this is here, and forgive me if you can't see, JOHN-JULES has travelled. JOHN-JULES, Robbie Burton, Ollie Inca, Medley, and there might have been obviously the Emils, the Nelsons, the Sakas, they're all about in it. But these lot are the core under 23s, which I would describe. It's no secret how much of a fan I am of JOHN-JULES. I think he deserves this. I think he potentially would have made his Europa League debut had he not, apologies people, my nose is itching, had he not suffered that long-term injury. But sandwiched in between that, him and Balogun have been scoring goals for fun. And it's not one of them where he's just bullying and the goals are necessarily clouding the performances. He's playing well. I think when you talk about JOHN-JULES, goals are actually the least you should speak about. He's the closest thing, I believe, to Lacazette out of all of them, because out of all the young strikers, I believe he's got the best general play. He does the most when they're not scoring. I think he plays good with his back to goal. He can drop deep and get involved. He can actually play as a support striker, people. I think he's got a lot of qualities beyond just goal scoring. And I'm a big fan of Balogun, like you saw, and it's nice to see he's back in training, he's fit, he scores goals for fun, and his link-up play is very good. Different from Tyrese's, but yeah, I have hopes for Tyrese. I'm not saying he's going to go and be world-class in these things, but I've got big hopes for him, man, big hopes. I think he could be a player that's in our squad. He gives us something different. He can play with his back to goal, which I can't say that for too many players, and you keep hearing me say it. Fingers crossed he scores if he makes his debut in any capacity. I want to see that, man. I mean, I love JOHN-JULES as a footballer, man. I think he's a quality footballer. It's no secret, but hopefully he comes on and scores. I'll be the one. I'll be at home shouting the madness. They'll probably hear me from Belgium, people. So hopefully he makes his debut. I believe he's earned that. Robbie Burton, you've seen what he's been doing in pre-season. He's made great progress with the 23s. And obviously Wells is under 21s. I'm not going to lie, folks. I don't think he's going to make it here. But my opinion isn't fact. I'd love to be proven wrong. And I'm not trying to diss him as a player because he's good in his own right, people. He's very good technically. He's developing. He's making inroads. I think he's going to have a career. I just think for him and Ollie Inker, it's going to be difficult, at least if they're going to be central midfielders at Arsenal. But they earned it. So nice to see them getting chances. Not sure for Mavropanos, people. Because again, I think Mavropanos' situation is one of them. And sorry for keep touching my nose, people. I creamed my nose and it's mad itchy. Apologies. But what was I going to say? I think Mavropanos is one where you, to really get a full picture, is that if that's the best way to put it, you've got to be involved in the club. Because on the face of it, we're seeing terrible defenders at first team level. We've seen Mavropanos sadly be robbed of football with injuries. But more or less you're thinking he can't get to a level where he could be a competent player. Apologies, people, man. Oh my god, my nose. Where's my handkerchief? It's up there. 1 second, people. I saw myself out. Oh god. Everything dropping. But apologies, people. Back to where I was, yeah. Mavropanos, there's more to the story. For us fans, we've seen injuries. He can't get up to a decent level to be a competent member of the squad if he's not playing games. And just on that note, you've seen him have good games against United. But what was it? Watford away last season, it was a bit shaky for him. Obviously, Leicester a couple of years ago, he got sent off. If I remember correctly, he conceded the foul which led to Benteke's goal at Crystal Palace at home. These are harsh lessons centre-halves have to learn. He's lacking experience and he's really been robbed of football for 2 years since he's been at this club, people, and he needs to go out and play football. I'd be surprised if he's not loaned out in January, or if I'm him, people, I'm trying to push for it because there's no substitute for first team football. I think clearly because of his injuries, we just want him to stay fit and confident. That's potentially why he's playing under 23 football, people. But there's no substitute for the senior game. He looks very, obviously Mavropanos a good defender. Very good bringing it out from the back. Very good sticking to his task. Reads the game well. He's just very inexperienced when it comes to the finer margins of the top flight. And there's got to be a reason Emery opted not to, last season, to include him in the Europa League. And he included El Nene, who he didn't use. That, to me, implies if worse comes to worse, you'd rather El Nene as a centre-half than Mavropanos outright. Of course, there's more to the story. I don't know if Mavropanos is actually officially in the squad this season, but you see Zach Medley, who's younger than him, deservedly so, going off with the lads. You see Mustafi, who's not going to be the future of this club and has been told he can leave, people, getting minutes. Mavropanos has been starved of football, and you're wondering as we kind of go on, people. Like, when is he going to get opportunities? Is he not good enough? Is he not showing something in training? We know he's very raw. Clearly, he's extremely raw, people. He's one of the most raw individuals there is in the team because of coming to Arsenal in the Premier League and from where he came from, people. If I'm him, I'm pushing for a loan because he's not, as far as I'm concerned, or to my knowledge, he hasn't travelled. If he's travelled, then fair enough, but I'm not too sure. And you've seen Medley get opportunities. Now, there's a reason this was here. You got centre-halves. Medley is a centre-half by trade, people. If we make this a goalie, Medley is very cultured. Modern-day centre-half at Arsenal. Gets the ball, wants to bring it up. Lovely passing range, can distribute it to his fullbacks. Hopefully you can see. Can distribute it to his fullbacks at will. Can bring it out himself. Very gracious, very much the modern-day fullback. He's got the size, people. And for him, I think he should push for a loan in January because he wanted to go on loan in the summer, but apparently Bold convinced him to stay. He's had some injuries and he's getting some first team opportunities now. It will probably come at left back, but it's there. My problems with Medley is nothing to do with his own. I don't think he thinks like a defender first. I think he's very good, like I said, bringing it out from the back. But in turn, when he brings it out from the back and he loses it and gets dispossessed, I think he puts pressure under his teammates. For instance, let's remove the goalie. There's a counter-attack to get. And at times, I think his positioning is quite poor. He leaves a lot of gaps. He doesn't think like a defender first. If he can learn to do that, and I do believe he played further forward in his career, he could be a good defender. Either way, he can't do much worse than some of his more experienced peers. And I believe his time is potentially going to come at left back, people, purely because obviously Kieran Tierney's out for three months. We have to kind of wrap Kolasinac in cotton wool. He's been in good form, but we need to wrap him in cotton wool if we're going to have a left back of any sorts that's an out-and-out left back this season, people. So his opportunities could come there in the Europa League. And technically, when he came off the bench in the Europa League last season, did Emery not play him there? It's a full-back player, left-back, people, and it's going to look like that. He'll get forward, he'll contribute, but obviously, if I'm telling you his positioning and his awareness of reading the game and and tracking his runners, if he has problems with that, he's going to learn harsh lessons at left-back, because if you push up people and you're not aware of him, and this guy's got any minerals, apologies if you can't see, and he's got any minerals, he's going to play it in behind here for him. You're going to make a recovery. Your centre-halves might be drawn out, in which there's always gaps, people. There's always gaps for someone to exploit. And you typically see this scenario where other Arsenal players switch off and then he scores. That's not a criticism of Medley. That's just something from seeing him I've seen. Medley has an opportunity. Again, he hasn't been given that opportunity in that I haven't seen him play yet under Ljungberg, but they know about him. He's highly rated within the club. You heard talk of being in the first team within a year. He's got an opportunity. If he plays, he puts in a competent shift at left back. Who knows? That's how you get into the first team and whatnot. That's how you get experience. You've got to take chances where it comes, people. He might get chances in his natural centre half position. But if you do the maths, you've got Mavropanos, who we've just spoken about, who I don't want to say he's ahead of Medley because Medley's travelling, he's not, but I rate Mavropanos ahead of Medley as a fan, and I'm sure you lot do too. Apologies for annoying you lot with touching my face, but Mustafi's barely got a look in. Mustafi's going to play ahead of him in worst comes to worst. You've got Mustafi and Mavropanos. You've got Socrates and Luiz now. They're poor, they're getting on a bit, but they're still there. You've got talk of another centre half coming in that we need. There's also Saliba next season. So there's a serious there's a blocked pathway at Arsenal for him unless he shows it in the short, medium and long term, people. To which he can either play at centre half and show, listen, yo, I'm English, I've come from the academy via Chelsea, you lot need to be bringing me in the same way you have with Nelson and the rest of them. Or he gets opportunities to become a left back, people. Opportunities are there to be seized. So we'll see what happens with these youngsters. Obviously, Olayinka and Burton, if they get chances, they'll hold their own. I would describe Olayinka as more of an honest midfielder. He works hard, he puts himself around. He's not got poor ability, but where he might not outshine his teammates or opponents in terms of attacking this, he makes up with hard work, and he can play in a couple of roles, which is probably why Ljungberg likes him. Burton is very much an Arsenal midfielder, very cultured, decent eye for a pass. I like how if you look at him, or from when I saw him as a first-year scholar, I wouldn't say he necessarily relished the dark side or the nasty side of the game. Now I'm seeing that added into his game. So I'm happy to see any young players get chances. I want to see Emil Smith-Rowe start as well. He looked very good against Blackburn. Been robbed again, another one from injuries, been robbed of any real progress. But we'll have to see, man. Either way, I'm going to cheer on these young players. But for now, people, DG.